What's up, gang? This is Coach Kelvin Gary, owner, head coach of Body Space Fitness, coming at you today with our trainer tip of the week. Basically, ways to kind of help avoid plateauing while you're working out at home, not being able to get to the gym and lift all those heavy weights that we usually like lifting, right? So, a couple things to think about here. I'm going to be kind of quick and to the point, but I'm going to tell you some basics of what you need to know and how to apply it. Give you a couple examples to go home with and a couple things to try out, right? So what I want you to know first is I'm going to throw a whole bunch of jargon at you real quick. You can write it down, come back to it, but everything that we do in the gym is all based off of this thought of not too much, not too little, just right, right? There's something called the SAID principle, specific adaptation to imposed demands. What the heck does that mean? It means that I need to give my body and myself enough of a stimulus and enough of a load to that I have to adapt to it, right? But if I do that for too long, and if I keep doing the same thing for too long, what will happen is my body will do what we call accommodate, right? It's like, okay, I've gotten that challenge, I've built myself up strong, that's no longer a challenge for me anymore. So that's where this thing called the overload principle comes in and says, hey, we need to be consistently thinking about how we're going to progressively overload the system so that we can keep accommodation going. Now, we also don't want to move too fast because we want to give our body a chance to adapt to a stimulus. And the first 1 or 2 times that you do something, there's some adaptation, but you usually look at about a 3 to 4 times exposed to a workout or a movement. That's when you start to see the adaptation happening. So we want to be progressively overloading ourselves, making sure the workout's challenging, but then eventually it's time to move on to the next thing. Another thing to think about, especially now with everyone being at home as much as they are, rest. Rest is huge, and a lot of times people might feel like they're plateauing when actually they're not resting enough. I'll talk about that in a sec, right? So, first things first, I want you to think, in order to change your workout up, you don't always have to change the entire workout, all the movements. There's a lot of different variables that we can work with when we're doing a workout, right? Or when we're organizing a workout. Some of the basic variables are like, what are the movements? Are you doing squats, lunges, deadlifts, ladder lunges, changing your planes of motion? What are the set and rep schemes? 2 sets of 15, 3 sets of 12. Are you doing it for 40 seconds? Right? Those are all things that we can change. Tempo, rest intervals, all things that we can change, right? But some of the other variables I want you to think about is, what type of load are you using? Is it body weight? Is it band? Is it kettlebell? Is it dumbbell? What's the complexity of the movement? Is it a compound movement, squat and press, squat and lunge? Is it a kettlebell clean? Is it a swing? Right? Is it plyometric in nature? Base of support, 2 feet, 1 foot, split stance, offset stance, standing on a Bosu ball, push-up, single arm push-up, offset push-up. There's a lot of different ways you can change base of support, both the upper body and lower body. And then one that a lot of people really don't think about is load position. Is the load above my head? Is it at my shoulder? Is it goblet? Is it rack? Is it, off to the side? Load position is a huge one that people can change up like very easily to make an exercise or make a workout particularly different. So what I'm going to do is show you just a couple quick examples. I hope that this works. Got it. So first and foremost, we're going to go to Joanna. Joanna in this video is doing some deadlifts. Top right, she's got both feet on the ground, 2 hands on a kettlebell. Top left, she's got 2 feet on the ground, 1 hand on a kettlebell. She's changed the load relative to her base of support. She's asymmetrical. Her core has to work a little harder. The bottom boxes, right? She's offset her stance, and now she's offset, holding it with 1 hand, offset, holding it with 2. So she's changed her base of support, but she's also changed her base of support and load relative to center mass. She took one exercise, a kettlebell deadlift, and changed 2 things and made it a pretty significantly different exercise. Now, the second video I have here, volume, is myself and Ava doing variations of a squat. We don't need a bar, we got a dumbbell. I'm pausing at the bottom of my squat, right? Ava, top left, has offset her stance. Her right heel is up. Her base of support is different. Her tempo is the same. My tempo is different. Bottom left, Ava's using a kettlebell, rack. She's offset the load relative to her center of mass and added to the complexity of the exercise that way. Now, that being said, those are some basic examples of ways that you can really simply change the exercises up. Now, last but not least, don't forget to rest. I'll talk about this in another exercise tip of the day, but recovery is huge, right? Sufficient recovery is the key to maintaining them gains that you've been working on, because if you don't rest, you will not be able to what we call supercompensate, i.e. get stronger, right? Training adaptations do not happen or do not take place during the session. Really important thing to remember. I'm going to look you in the eye and say that. The magic doesn't happen during the session. The magic happens in between the sessions when you grow stronger from what you just did, right? So make sure that you rest. That's a huge and important part of the puzzle to making sure that you don't plateau, right? So thanks for listening. If you guys have any questions, by all means, at Body Space NYC, I'm Coach Kelvin, at Kelvin Gary. Feel free to ask questions, and we will give you the answer. If we don't know, we'll go find the answer and come back to you, right? Have a great day, guys, and train hard, train smart.